The sun was a merciless blaze over the Wyoming plains, baking the cracked earth until it seemed to shimmer with despair. Out there, where the horizon swallowed hope, a girl named Ellie, barely 18, was tied to a splintered wooden fence, her wrists raw from the coarse rope her father had knotted in a drunken rage. Her tear-streaked face tilted toward the sky, searching for something, anything, to cling to. Miles away, a lone cowboy named Amos rode his mare, Dusty, across the endless stretch of his ranch, unaware that fate was about to tether their lives together in a way neither could have imagined. Amos was no stranger to solitude. At 42, he'd carved a life out of the rugged land, his only companions the cattle and the ghosts of a past he'd buried deep. His weathered hands gripped the reins as Dusty snorted, sensing his unease. He'd seen something out of place, a glint of movement near the old boundary fence. As he neared, his heart lurched. There she was, Ellie, her slight frame slumped against the post, her dark hair matted with sweat and dust. Her eyes, wide with fear, locked onto his, and in that moment, Amos felt the weight of a choice he hadn't asked for. He dismounted, his boots crunching on the dry grass. "Hey, now," he said softly, kneeling to meet her gaze. "You're gonna be all right." His voice was low, steady, like he was calming a spooked calf. Ellie flinched as he reached for the rope, her body trembling from hours under the sun. Her father, a drifter named Cal, had always been a storm of a man, charming one minute, vicious the next. Last night, after a bottle of cheap whiskey, he'd dragged her from their rusted trailer, screaming about her disrespect, and left her here to learn a lesson. Amos cut the ropes with his pocket knife, his jaw tight with anger he didn't voice. He offered her water from his canteen, and she drank greedily, her cracked lips staining the rim red. "Who did this?" Amos asked, though he already suspected. Ellie's silence was answer enough. She didn't trust him, not yet, but she had nowhere else to go. Amos helped her onto Dusty, and they rode back to his small ranch house, a weathered cabin that smelled of leather and wood smoke. Inside, he gave her a blanket and a plate of beans, watching as she ate like she hadn't in days. Her story spilled out in fragments, a mother long gone, a father who drowned his pain in liquor, and a life of running from one nowhere town to the next. Amos listened, his heart aching with a familiar loneliness. He'd lost his own family, wife and daughter, to a car accident a decade ago, and the emptiness had never left till the first challenge came fast. Ellie was skittish, jumping at every creak of the house, expecting Amos to turn on her like her father had. She'd bolt to the porch at night, staring at the stars as if planning her escape. Amos didn't push her to stay, but he left the door open, a quiet invitation. He gave her chores, mending fences, feeding the chickens, to keep her hands busy and her mind from spiraling. She was stubborn, though, and pride made her resist his kindness. "I don't need your pity," she snapped one morning, tossing a pitchfork into the hay. Amos just nodded, unfazed. "Ain't pity," he said. "It's a roof and a purpose. Take it or leave it." Days turned to weeks, and Ellie began to soften. She'd linger at the table after supper, asking about the ranch, about the stars Amos knew by name. He taught her to ride, her laughter breaking the silence of the plains when Dusty trotted too fast. But the past wasn't done with them. Cal, her father, showed up one stormy evening, his truck rattling into the yard. He was sober enough to be dangerous, demanding Ellie come back with him. "She's my blood," he slurred, swaying on the porch. Ellie froze, her newfound strength crumbling under the weight of old fear. Amos stepped between them, his broad frame a shield. "She stays," he said, voice like iron. Cal lunged, but Amos was quicker, pinning him against the wall. "You don't touch her again," he growled, his own grief fueling his resolve. Cal laughed, cursing, but the encounter shook Ellie. She broke down that night, sobbing into Amos's shoulder, confessing how she blamed herself for her father's rage. Amos held her, his own tears falling silently. "You ain't to blame for his brokenness," he told her. "You're enough, just as you are." The resolution wasn't tidy. Cal lingered in town, a shadow that kept Ellie on edge. Amos, too, faced his own demons, the guilt of surviving when his family hadn't. But together, they built something new. Ellie enrolled in community college, her eyes bright with dreams of becoming a veterinarian. Amos helped her study, his gruff voice patient as they pored over books by the fire. The ranch became their sanctuary, a place where broken things could mend. When Cal showed up again, sober this time, Begging forgiveness, Ellie faced him with a strength she hadn't known she had. "I forgive you," she said, "but I'm not yours to keep." She chose Amos, the ranch, herself. By the time the seasons turned, Ellie wasn't the scared girl tied to a fence, and Amos wasn't the lonely cowboy hiding from his pain. They were family not by blood, but by choice. The final scene unfolds at dusk, the two of them sitting on the porch, Dusty grazing nearby. Ellie points to a constellation, naming it proudly, and Amos smiles, his heart full. "You're home now," he says, and she nods, her hand resting on his. To the viewers, the story whispers a truth: healing isn't a straight line, but it's possible when you find someone who sees your worth. Ellie and Amos didn't just save each other, they reminded us that even in the loneliest places, love can grow. So, take a moment, look around. Who needs your open door? Because sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can rewrite someone's story.